it's Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media. Today we're talking with Paul Holthus, we'll get it, who is the founding president and CEO of the World Ocean Council. Paul is joining us from Hawaii, and I'm sure we wish we could all be there. But welcome, Paul. It's great to have you.
Thanks. Very happy to be participating in this discussion about the Breakbulk event that's coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of this month, we have the digital special. It's a series of 3 webinars. Paul will be our moderator for Growing a Sustainable Future. That'll take place on Wednesday, the 30th of September. So we're all looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I wanted people to have a chance to get to know a little bit more about you and the World Ocean Council. So just give us a brief description of the purpose of your organization.
Sure. Thanks, Leslie. So the World Ocean Council is a unique global business organization. So we refer to it as the Global Blue Economy Business and Investment Organization. So we bring together all of the different ocean-related industries: shipping, fishing, oil and gas, offshore renewables, ports, aquaculture, et cetera, as well as the investment community around the needs and opportunities of sustainable development.
Okay. All right. So certainly that applies to many of the people that are involved with Breakbulk events. A lot happens, of course, with ocean transport. Now, tell me, what do you feel, what are your most important sustainability issues today?
Right. Well, there are quite a few, and so the ocean is under a lot of pressure. It's subjected to a lot of use that then creates impacts. So there's pollution issues from all of the different sectors that operate in the ocean. There's broader pressures from climate change affecting the ocean in terms of global warming that's heating up the ocean and ocean acidification. There's a range of though opportunities that all creates in terms of industry tackling those issues. So if we look at the different pollution issues, such as the classic or the typical sort of marine pollution from the kinds of water pollution that enters the ocean from vessels, from offshore energy operations, etc. There's one of the ones, the issues that's most on people's mind these days is plastics and what's called marine debris or marine litter. And that has to do a lot then with packaging and materials that get on board vessels or get brought down to the ports. And a lot of that enters the ocean from the land as well. There's also issues related to dealing with the adaptation of ports and coastal infrastructure to the impacts of hurricanes and sea level rise that are creating a challenge for industry. So a whole range of issues that really cut across all the various sectors, and that's the space that we really operate in, is bringing the different industries together to see what sort of synergies and economies of scale that create business value can be developed between the industries.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what is your feeling about compliance with IMO 2020, for instance, and the goals that are further out, 2030, 2050? Do you think that's important, and do you think it goes far enough?
Well, this is something that's really, I think, delivered on the way the shipping and maritime transport industry can work together and work with governments and work through the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, to take on an issue that's been identified as a problem in terms of emissions of sulfur and nitrous oxides, and then developing through consultation and good science and risk-based information, data-driven decision making, where you say, okay, we've got to deal with this. There are technological solutions, there are economic implications to those solutions, but let's figure out a reasonable way forward. And I think that whole process has worked pretty well under the IMO 2020 context, and industry has really stepped up to develop and deliver and deploy these solutions. So that's moving in the right direction. That's of course then coupled with the emission control areas that have even tighter restrictions on emissions. And again, the industry and governments have worked together well to develop and apply those solutions. Moving further down the agenda and along the agenda and along the challenges of this century and atmospheric emissions, of course, then the CO2, the carbon emissions, and the 2050 goals and targets for shipping, really highly ambitious but extremely necessary. And there's a lot of leadership companies that are moving forward very well in tackling this, and this is what we're all about at the World Ocean Council, is leadership. And so companies that are ready to identify those challenges and get to work on them with like-minded peers and help lead the way and achieve the business value and business benefits of being leaders in those fields. So it's some big challenges, but some real good people and good companies moving well down that road.
Well, that's encouraging. Since the pandemic has had a effect across supply chains, certainly, have you seen within your realm impact as far as your priorities or perhaps some new concerns that have arisen as a result of this ongoing crisis?
Yeah. Well, I'd really highlight to me, in terms of the maritime world, highlight the crew change situation and just the incredible human impact that the COVID has had on the men and women serving as seafarers and their inability to move off of vessels and get home, get to their families. And we do a lot of communicating about for all, in terms of all the ocean industries, that it's society wants energy, they want cheap marine transport and products that can be affordable around the world as a result of that. So this is just an essential underpinning of the global economy and the food that comes from the sea. But this all depends on men and women working in difficult, dangerous jobs, often dangerous jobs, and there's a real need to take account of and be aware of that human side of the global ocean economy. And the pandemic has really brought that to a whole new level of awareness and this impact that it's having by affecting the movement of crews. So that's been, to me, one of the most important aspects of this in terms of the maritime industries and really at a global scale. There's other issues that are coming out. There's an increase in pollution issues from all of the masks and medical debris that's emerging. That's people are starting to document and become more aware of. And then there's also been an impact on, for example, in the fishing industry, particularly with the small scale fisheries in many developing countries, that the fisher folks are not able to operate because they don't have access to the protective equipment they need to be able to ensure their safety and providing food at those local levels. So it's really playing out at a lot of different levels in a lot of different ways in the different ocean industries.
Absolutely. All right. So my last question to you is, as I mentioned earlier, within the Breakbulk community, we have a number of different carriers, container lines, and heavy lift carries the big project cargo. Of course, we have ports and other companies that support marine-related sector. So how can these companies benefit from your organization or contribute to it?
Yeah, well, thanks very much for that question, Leslie. So we as I was saying, we bring together this very diverse global ocean business community, and the common ground for that bringing that diverse community together is that they all operate on and depend on activities in and around and on the ocean. And the benefits to this collaboration and leadership is in helping identify and tackle these cross-cutting issues that affect everyone as regulations get developed, for example. It affects the reputational value of companies as there are, for example, pollution incidents. And so to be able to work together and develop best practices and achieve the economies of scale of working with a lot of other companies in tackling those issues, in undertaking and engaging with the science community to ensure we've got good data-driven and risk assessment-driven responses to those issues. That moves forward the agenda in a leadership way rather than being in a reactive way where a regulation or a pressure group is sort of coming at you and you're having to react to it. To get out in front on these issues with your colleagues and peers in like-minded companies and gives you the opportunity to show leadership and to shape the agenda, shape the future, shape the regulations rather than just react to them. And there's that sort of operational value there in being out in front by defining and deploying best practices before they become requirements. And then there's a reputational value of being out in front and showing that you are a good corporate citizen by working on these issues. And there, as we touched on earlier, there are a range of issues that need attention, and we help pull the information together about those issues and help companies understand the implications of not engaging on these things, and then work with those that are ready to be a part of a leadership alliance.
Excellent. So is there a membership process?
Yeah, so we have, it's a membership organization. The World Ocean Council then has a series of tiers, categories, 5 categories based on the size of companies, from the very large to then small business and a graduated scale of membership contributions associated with that. And we, one of the other benefits related to that is through that core support from the members, and we go and leverage and bring in other funds from public funding opportunities, from foundations to work on these issues. So we're actually getting a multiplier effect from the contributions that industry makes to the World Ocean Council as members, and bring in those other sources of support to work on those issues in collaboration and really leverage the involvement of industry by bringing it to bear in other ways.
All right. Well, that is great. And I think that's a nice point to stop right now. And I can tell you that we will all be looking forward to hearing more from you on September 29th around the sustainability webinar. So thank you for this introduction, and we will see you very soon.
Great. Thanks very much, Leslie. Looking forward to it.
All right.